Alright guys, MTech Guy here. Now then, if you own an M5 or an M6 with the S85 V10 engine and you haven't had any problems with your starter motor so far, well, you will do eventually. Now, although the starter motor failing isn't a super common problem on these cars, given enough time, it's going to happen. And let's face it, these cars are starting to get on a bit now. They've got a few years behind them. There's a lot out there with a few miles on the clock, and due to the location where the starter motor's fitted, sitting right inside the V of the engine towards the back of the engine, they're subject to huge amounts of heat. And although the starter motors themselves are a fairly robust unit, it's the starter solenoid that doesn't like that heat too much, and it's just going to get hammered over time by all that heat. And if you own one of these cars, you'll know all too well just how much heat these engines do generate. So what are you going to do when it does eventually fail? You're going to be in a situation where you can't crank your engine, you might be away from home, you're going to be stranded. Well, that's what we're going to take a look at today. Alright, so if the starter motor has failed, or you're in a situation where the battery's just sitting at low voltage, so there's enough voltage there to run the car, but not the full voltage to get the engine cranked, well, you're going to have to push start the car, or depending on which part of the world you're from, you might call it a toe start or a bump start. Now, if you own one of these cars with an SMG gearbox, it's not so obvious how to go about that. So let's jump in the car and let's take a look how to get you moving again. Alright, so number one, before we do anything, you want to make sure the engine's cold, so it's likely that you're going to need to leave the vehicle sat for quite some time to make sure that engine cools right down, because if you try and push start one of these vehicles with the engine warm, it's likely that you can wreck your catalytic converters, so make sure the engine's cold before we go any further. Right, so next up, you're going to be set up with either someone giving you a push from behind or giving you a tow from the front of the car, or you might be lucky enough for the car to have broken down on a downward incline. So the first step we're going to take is turn your ignition to position 2, and then we're going to get the car rolling in neutral, and then once we're rolling, we're going to shift it over to drive, and within 2 seconds pull it towards yourself to the plus sign, let it go, and what that'll do is select the correct gear and operate the clutch automatically and start the vehicle, and you'll be away. Alright guys, so there we have it. It's as easy as that. Now, if your starter motor has failed on one of these cars, you're going to have a real adventure changing that thing out, but that's a story for another day. Now, if you found the video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you go and check out the rest on my YouTube channel for more BMW E60 M5 content. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.